F1 24 driver career mode for season 2, round number 11, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Yes, we're back on F1 24, this time racing in Baku. I believe for the first time in F1 24, we did not race here last season. So our first time racing in Baku in the F1 24 game. Looking forward to this one. It's a track that I do quite like, but can be a bit of a one that's a little bit difficult as well as we look at the R&D for this race. And we have actually jumped up at McLaren to the quickest car on paper going into this weekend. We were behind Aston Martin and Red Bull last time out, but we've jumped ahead of both of them with a fairly big upgrade coming into this weekend. So that is a positive for us at McLaren. Hopefully we will have a good car here that can take us to a podium or potentially even a race win. As we get into Q1, once again, just kind of trying to get used to the F1 game again because, yeah, I haven't been playing it a lot recently. You'll notice that there's been quite a big gap between videos, and I haven't also done an F1 Manager video in a while. I have got the next F1 Manager video, like, recorded, but I haven't quite edited it yet. I just not really had the time. Started a new job this week as well, so fairly busy with stuff going on at the moment. But as you can see here in Q1, we are slightly up on our first flying time, but only very minorly up, very minutely up here as we head towards the castle section. And we've actually lost a bit of time coming into here, but the lap time in the end will be a better lap time as we now come through here. I believe we make a bit more pace through that section. Still not the best lap time though. 1:39.3 only puts us in P11 behind Albon and the Williams there, so not actually the best time in the world. Both RBs out, along with Sargent, Hulkenberg, and Zhou. Hulkenberg, the biggest surprise there, P19 in the Haas for him. That is not a good result, as in Q2 here we have a big snap of oversteer coming out of the castle section. Was really struggling with that corner in qualifying, not so much in the race, but in qualifying, yeah, really struggling with that section. As you can see here as well, we're currently P13 in Q2. We are almost 3/10 up on our best time, and we actually go purple through the second sector here. But I was struggling to kind of balance where to use my ERS on this track. Of course, Baku, a lot of long straights from here onwards, all the way down to turn 1. It is flat out, and that means that using ERS, you don't want to use it all up on this straight because then you've got nothing for anywhere else. But you also don't want to use it all up in the second sector because then, yeah, you're a sitting duck down the straight. So I was trying to still find that balance. We end up P10, only just making it through to Q3 there. We got both Alpines and then the other Williams, Haas, and Sauber of Albon, Magnussen, and Bottas out in Q2 there. So at the moment, considering our car is supposedly the best on paper, we're not looking that quick. I will be honest, we were pretty much on par with our teammate there, but it seems to be that I'm almost on par. I'm about where I need to be in Sector 1. I'm actually quite a bit quicker than most other people in Sector 2, but then I'm slow in Sector 3, where it's mostly straights. It could be the setup of the car. I think it's also just what I'm doing with the ERS. But yeah, I tried a few different things, like, yeah, using it more on the straights, using it more out of corners in Sector 2, and didn't seem to make a massive difference either way. I ended up kind of going for something in between, where I was using it as much as I could on the straights, but also, you know, using it out of some corners with slightly bigger straights in Sector 2. So like out of this corner here, I believe I put the ERS on. Yep, there we go. But some of the other corners didn't bother with it, so that I had a bit more to play with come the end of the lap. I mean, we're almost at the end of Sector 2 here, and I've still got 71% of battery left. But as you see, we come out of this corner here, and this pretty much begins the flat out section, and the battery's just going to drain and drain here. You can see though, we're almost 4.5 tenths up on our fastest time in Q3 here. Currently sitting P10, so not amazing, but I'm hoping that this lap is going to put us quite a bit quicker and further up the order. We're going to be just under 4.5 or just over 4.5 tenths quicker than our best. And in the end, it's P8 for us. We beat Verstappen, we beat Russell. Norris actually beats Verstappen in qualifying, which hasn't happened very much this season. But it is still Charles Leclerc on pole position with Oscar Piastri second, and Perez gets up there in third. So it is the top two in the championship on the front row. Leclerc, you know, that Ferrari is like fourth quickest, almost fifth quickest car on paper, but he's putting in some stellar performances. We're starting a bit further down the order in P8, not quite the qualifying that I would have hoped for.
Welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku, and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners, and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today. So our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully out of the barriers. Baku City Circuit then. It's an unpredictable 3.7-mile track around the streets of the Azerbaijan capital. 20 turns for our drivers to navigate today, including the infamous Turn 8, one of the tightest and most challenging corners of the season. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Norris, Shaw, Verstappen, Russell, Gasly, Albon, Magnussen, Ocon, Bottas, Sargent, Sainz, Stroll, Hulkenberg, Joe, and Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Here we go for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 2 of F1 24 Driver Career Mode. It's lights out and away we go, starting from P7 after a grid penalty for, I can't remember who exactly it was, but one of the, I think it might have been Carlos Sainz. As we continue on here, not the best start. We're already getting pressured by Max Verstappen into turn 2 as it's 3 wide with Alonso, Hamilton and Norris up ahead. There's a bit of front wing end plate flying there. I'm not sure who that was. Might have been Lando Norris, I believe, up ahead as they are still about to go 3 wide into the next corner as well. And we're going to take that opportunistic move to get around the outside of Lando Norris. He's going to try and fight us into the next corner. But we're side by side with the Red Bull. He does just about nip ahead of us, though. We have a look to the inside, but not quite. We actually slightly tagged the back of him there, but thankfully no damage, no harm done there. But it's been a pretty chaotic opening lap. I believe, though, Lando Norris seems to be struggling here. I think he was the one who has lost that little bit of front wing end plate, so that could really harm him in this race. He finally had a good qualifying ahead of his teammate Max Verstappen, but looks like it's kind of all starting to come undone for him here in these on this first lap, because he's already over a second now behind Alonso in P5. So very unfortunate for Norris. That also means, though, he is holding us up here behind, so we want to try and stay as close behind him as we can, try and get past him perhaps into turn 1. No DRS, of course, at the start of the lap on the first lap, but just the amount more speed we can take around corners. I mean, we're practically pushing him through that section there. We actually have to let off the throttle or else we're going to go into the back of him here, and we're just absolutely sat right behind him here, trying to pick up a slipstream, trying to get past to the inside, then to the outside, to see if we can go around the outside to turn 1 later on the brakes, just swing the car all the way around. We have so much more grip than him because he has that front wing damage. He's still going to be there, though, on the inside, but we're just going to hold it around the outside and get up ahead of Lando Norris up to P6. So it is 1 position gained at the start of this race. Now Max Verstappen, he's now going to try and get past his teammate, who, like I said, is really struggling. He's now 1.6 seconds behind us after that second lap, and Verstappen's going to make a pretty easy move with DRS up the inside into turn 1, get past his teammate. You can actually see there the damage on Lando Norris's front wing on the front right there. So he is unfortunately going to just keep dropping down the order. But Alonso is going to drop even further because he has an engine failure. He is out here in Baku running in P5. Not the best. He didn't have the greatest qualifying and the greatest start. But yep, he is out. Kind of holds us up a little bit there as we finally get past him. But that is Fernando Alonso out of this race. further up the order, and Hamilton is in P4. He's been having a good time the last couple of races, at least in qualifying, qualifying ahead of Russell, fair way up the order. He's now going to try and get past Sergio Perez, who is the only driver this race to start on the hard compound tyres. Everybody else, including myself, starting on the mediums. The game wanted me to start on the hards, but I thought, I don't want to. I'd rather go medium to hard than hard to medium, so that's what we decided to do. But Perez has done the opposite. At the moment, it's not really helping him out because Hamilton gets past Perez up into P3. Perez is going to have a look, and he's going to be right behind Hamilton coming into the next corner, but can't do anything. He does, though, I believe. Oh, no, sorry. This is actually on the same lap that just happened, I believe. And this is Russell getting past Lando Norris. Norris really struggling now with that front wing, but it's just going to be a waste if he comes in now. He's got to kind of hope for either a safety car or to just change that wing when he comes in for his tyre change. It's too early at the moment to come in for that tyre change. So although to be fair, the wear here isn't crazy, so he could maybe come in now and it might actually help him, but he's staying out there for now. At the front, and it's pretty quiet. Leclerc and Piastri have a 5.8 second gap to Hamilton in third. These guys are within a second of each other though. Leclerc leads Piastri, top two in the championship. Super consistent, these two, so far this season. They have been really, really consistent. And I mean, Leclerc especially has been so impressive. That Ferrari has never been any better than the fourth quickest car on paper, I don't believe. Maybe third at one point, but pretty sure it's been like the fourth best most of the season. But he's really making that car go quick. Tsunoda is quickly putting his car into the wall as he spins around that left-hander, and he's still in the race but completely loses his front wing. That's going to pretty much ruin his race. We'll have a look at it on board here as he just puts too much power around that corner and just kind of drives it into the wall. Pretty silly little crash there for Tsunoda. That is going to bring out the safety car though, so this could potentially change up things. A little bit early on our strategy to come in for the hard compound tyres, but like I said, tyre wear is pretty low here. So even though my team doesn't tell me to come in, everybody else is coming in, so we're going to come in. We are going to be right behind Perez here. He's just ahead of us. I didn't really think about it when I came in here. Maybe I should have waited a lap, because we are going to sit behind Perez here. It's a little bit of a slow stop for him. Plus we've got to wait. Then we come in. It's a pretty good stop for us once we do get the tyres on. But we've lost 2 positions from that to Verstappen and to George Russell. So we're now down to an effective, I guess, P7, because we were up to P5 with Alonso's DNF. So now down to P7 on the road behind Verstappen and Russell. So a little bit unfortunate there with the double stack, but I don't know, maybe going one lap later would have helped. It might have just made it worse. I don't really know. Safety car coming in at the end of lap 11 and we get going. We are right behind Russell here. I want to try and make as many moves as I can because I'm feeling pretty quick here in race trim, and we go for a big lunge around the outside. Was actually a little bit caught out by Verstappen on the inside there. Very nearly hit the wall on the outside. Russell's still trying to go side by side with us into turn 2, but we're going to hang it around the outside and get ahead of our fellow British driver. Get up into P6, so that is good news for us. Now Perez is onto the mediums, bit early to be onto the mediums, but like I said before, tyre wear still pretty low. It might still be a little bit soon for the mediums, but he had to at least give it a shot. So he's now got the advantage on the tyres, so he's going to try and get back past Lewis Hamilton again to get onto that podium. Side by side through turn 2 they go. Hamilton on the outside, Perez on the inside, and Perez actually can't get the power down out of the corner and he drops behind Verstappen. So instead of going for a move on Hamilton for P3, he drops position to Verstappen down to P5. Next lap around though, he is going to try and get back past Verstappen again round the outside, and he's going to try and go for the move on Hamilton as well, try and make up those 2 positions that he just lost on the previous lap. Now once again side by side with Hamilton. This time though, he's on the outside. He gets the power down better and he will get ahead of both those drivers once again. At that same point in time, we are tucked up right behind Verstappen here. We have DRS. We're using as much ERS as we can because I sense an opportunity here to get past Verstappen Up the inside we go. It's 2 by 2. Perez, Hamilton, Verstappen and myself. Verstappen's still there on the inside. We're going to try to go round the outside of turn 4 and we're going to get it done. Nice little move there. Back up to P5. Back to where we were before the pit stops. Now, Valtteri Bottas currently running in actually a pretty decent now P12 as he gets past Lando Norris. I'm thinking that Norris, either he didn't change his front, he came into the pits, but he hasn't changed his front wing. He's still dropping down the order, so this is an absolute disaster for Norris, but it's even worse for Bottas, who just after getting past Norris, now has an engine failure and is out of this race. The second retirement of this race, Valtteri Bottas. Very unfortunate for him, was looking like potentially a P12 finish. Now, lap 16, we have Hamilton ahead of us now, who is just in range of DRS on Perez. But as we set the fastest lap of the race, we go to the outside, force Hamilton to the inside, better on the power around the outside there, defend the line into turn 2, and that puts us up into P4 now. So we are edging closer and closer to the podium, and it is our teammates up ahead of us. Hamilton then coming under fire from Verstappen, who's had a little bit of a lease on life in these last few laps. This seems to happen with Hamilton. He, like last time out as well in the Netherlands, he had a great qualifying, was running up in P3 at one point, and then just absolutely dropped down the order. That seems to be happening again here, as it's 3 wide with Verstappen and the 2 Mercedes into turn 3, and now the other Red Bull of Verstappen has front wing damage as well. This is not a good race for the Red Bull drivers, but Russell actually jumps both of those drivers and gets up to P5, so he's now the lead Mercedes. We're going to have a pretty easy move, lap 18 to 19, on our teammate as we set another purple final sector, just with all that DRS and ERS being used. We are flying at the moment, and now up to P3 onto the podium. That is what we want, and we are showing some good pace. Now at the bottom of the top 10, it is Magnussen and Albon fighting over what is currently P8. Carlos Sainz just behind them in P10. He of course took a grid penalty, so he's a bit further down the order than you would expect. But Magnussen and Albon looking to score some good points here, especially Albon. He's been scoring pretty consistent points this season in that Williams, so looking good for him. The Haas and the Williams are actually about the same on paper on R&D, so we'll see how this ends up, but Albon gets ahead of Magnussen up to P8. 2 points for Magnussen though would be big, because Haas have not scored a whole lot of points so far this season. We're still sitting here in P3, just slowly closing in on Piastri. I think Leclerc's going to be a bit too far up the road, but Piastri just over 2 seconds up the road at the moment. It is possible that we will be able to catch him by the end of this race. We've pulled away from Perez, who seems to be struggling even on the medium tyres here, so showing that even though we had a bad qualifying, we are the quicker of the 2 McLaren drivers. And then by lap 24 on to lap 25, the penultimate lap, we've now caught right up to the back of Oscar Piastri, so we're going to try and get a P2 finish here. It is going to be too much to catch Leclerc. He's 4.5 seconds up the road, but with Piastri we can get second place here on the penultimate lap. We use our DRS and use our ERS down the straights to turn 3. He goes defensive. We're going to go to the outside, late braking for both of us, but we're just hanging it around the outside, and we're up into P2, second position in this race. That is big for us in this championship. It's big for Piastri in a way, and big for Leclerc as well, because of course those are the top 2 in the championship. Leclerc though will go on and win this race. We did catch up to him another half a second in this final lap. We were absolutely flying towards the end of this race. If it wasn't for a bad qualifying, we could have been on for a pretty good win here, I reckon. In the end though, it's going to be P2, P7 to P2 with P8 in qualifying. I will take that result. That is pretty good for me. Another podium here in Baku. Good result. Sainz gets driver of the day, getting up into the top 10. That was a pretty decent race. Pretty fun one.
And Leclerc to the line, to the checkered flag. It's King Charles today. He wins.
I know every race has equal importance in terms of points, but when you get to this part in the championship, it's clearly on your mind as you're looking to see how far up the order you can finish. And races like this certainly help that.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari do it again.
Yes, Leclerc will extend his lead in the championship here, but we get a pretty good P2, and with Alonso's DNF, that might be enough to get us back up into P3 once again. Piastri finishes P3 in this race, so it is potentially now the top 3 in the championship, finishing in the top 3, just slightly out of order with myself and Piastri. But yeah, these two, Leclerc and Piastri, really consistent, especially Leclerc. He is always up there. We do get fastest lap, I believe again. I think we got fastest lap in Netherlands, didn't we? I believe. So we're just racking up the fastest laps here, and that is actually two P2s in a row on the bounce. So showing some very good pace at the moment. Just a little bit off in qualifying here, it seemed. Just couldn't quite, get the balance with the ERS right. Sainz ends up coming up to P8, Albon P9, Magnussen manages to score 1 point for P10 in the Haas, so he'll be happy with that. And yes, we are back up to P3, 10 points now ahead of Fernando Alonso on 153 points compared to 143. Leclerc is at the top. He's broken the 200 mark at 204, with Piastri at 179, a whole 25 points, a whole race win behind Leclerc now. So, and then we are another 26 points behind Piastri. So still a little bit of a gap there at the top, but hopefully we can try closing in at least to Piastri, and maybe Leclerc can start having some bad luck. And in the Constructors' Championship, Aston Martin still up the top there, with Ferrari second, McLaren third, and Mercedes now starting to edge away from Red Bull. Williams in 6th on 20 points, that is very good for them, and Haas break 1 point away from RB on 7 points. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.